I'd like to call the audit committee meeting to order for today's meeting of August the 10th. With that, I ask the secretary to call the roll.
Councilmember Gino?
Yes.
Councilmember Rizal?
Yes.
Councilmember Chief-Gonzalo?
Yes.
And we'd like to have Ms. Toots lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, what's item 2?
Update by Travis Fontenot, Assistant Internal Auditor, on the scheduled audit for August 2017 and prioritization of the 2017 audit plan.
Okay, this is where I'm at. Me and Councilman Roussel talked. I've begun the process, and I kind of did a little, give me all the follow-up, but I did a little, give you all a synopsis of the audit report that I conducted on the Civil Service Commission. I just looked into the hiring practices, things that you asked for pertaining to the rules and regulations of the parish, demotion, reinstatement, and transfer. While conducting my research, I couldn't find anything that they were doing that was unethical or in the means of illegality. And I made a recommendation, but I want to kind of go back over it a little bit more before I give y'all a final report on it. I just want to give y'all a follow-up that I have started on that. And I think from there, I have, if y'all want to see any examples that I have, like reinstatements, demotions of how they go about the process and the practices to like put people in different positions or change people from one place to another. One recommendation I could give is whatever the nature of the position change, whether it's demotion, transfer, or reinstatement, I think within their cover letter they should put the rules, like for one of the I want to say, for instance, like I have right here for Mr. Randy Brooks, where he was reinstated. So in the cover letter, according to Rule 7, Section 4.8, they gave the conditions on his reinstatement. They gave a rule and understanding, so that way they're more transparent than, like, maybe, you don't want to have, like, to think that they're giving favors or they're just putting people in positions based upon whatever, for whatever reason. So I figured they can make themselves more transparent by putting in the cover letters the rules and regulations according to whatever that the nature of that reinstatement, demotion, or when I say the reinstatement, demotion, transfer, whatever it is, if they put the rule in the cover letter, then they give everyone an understanding of the legality of the change that they made.
So you have some cover letters that don't have that information?
Some don't. Right, Mister, if you want to see some examples, you have Mr. Randy Brooks. I picked out specific ones. Mr. Randy Brooks, and Ellen, she printed out a civil service rule book for me, and I went through some of the rules and regulations. And you have one like Mr. Kenneth LaFrance. He was demoted, but there is no. It tells you his position title, what he's moving to, and what he's being demoted to, but it doesn't give you a rule behind it. We all know, we all know what rule it is Rule 7, but they need to put the section of that rule in there. That way, if they can put it in more detail, what's going on, it makes them more transparent.
Okay, Mr. Fontenot, on the reinstatement, my experience with civil service, I'm trying to follow the line of definition of reinstatement. When you say agree, that means you have already been there, you're readdressing an issue.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
But I know in a recent situation with an employee, the civil service utilized that terminology, reinstatement individual. But she actually came from another department, moved on to took a total different job. I'm having a hard time figuring out how could you reinstate a person to a new job.
Yeah, well, see, this is the thing, and when I talk to Ellen, her thing is, like, with the reinstatement, like, there's either, like, if you reinstate somebody, they could either accept, I guess, according to the government, not guessing, but what she told me, and I see it in the rule book, according to who the directing officers are, if you get reinstated into a position, it's like, you have to accept the probation, even if you was in another position, which I don't see how if you're in another position, I can only see it as either a transfer or demotion. Reinstatement means you don't have this job, and they're just putting you back in the same position.
Yeah, I think you're missing the point that Mr. Solomon's trying to get to, is that if you are at X position, and that position comes up and available to be refilled,
Right.
and you take a person that was in another position, and you use the restatement rule to put the person, a different person, in that position, it's a different thought process about reinstating the same person that came from that position, because you took a new person that was never in the position in there.
In that case, I would think that it would be a rehire. You're not being reinstated.
Right.
Reinstated would mean that if that position wasn't available perhaps if I was part of the layoff, okay? And if I didn't come back and I was a clerk too, and I was dismissed or laid off under that title, if I'm not, the only way I could be reinstated if I'm going to go back to that clerk two position. But if you're going back to a total another position, I would consider that a rehire.
But it wouldn't be considered a rehire because, you're right, and I'm misinterpreting, I'm sorry, but reinstatement is basically like with Randy, he was in that position, apparently something happened with his father, so he had to take some time off, so they put him back into that position.
Absolutely.
With
that
Larissa,
policy is being practiced at civil service.
and that's why I said I'll look into it more in depth for you. I was just giving y'all a follow-up, want to give y'all a synopsis, but before I send y'all out a report, I'm going to make sure I thoroughly go through this. I have 7 items that I'm trying to test. I can go get some more information because I want to make sure that when I say this, give this to you all, that I've done a thorough check on it and that you all have the best possible recommendations.
And the reason I'm asking that, because see, a lot of time I make comments within the council meeting, and it always sounds like I'm all, trying to reach it, but you're getting all of this double talk. You're getting this double talk. One policy is being applied to for certain people, and then others, there's a whole another policy. So I'm trying to get to the point where that we are operating, trying to make sure that civil service is operating on across the board for everybody. This is what it is, but I know that's not the situation.
Right, I understand, and like I said, I'll look into it even so deeply for you.
So in other words, if some rule changes need to be made to clarify what reinstatement means versus what rehire means, then we need those recommendations to be able to change the rules to make sure that everybody's on the same playing field, because as Ms. Salmon said, if it's interpretation and you can use one rule for one individual and then use another rule for another individual which are in a similar situation, there doesn't seem to be equity across the board.
Yeah, I understand.
And so I think that's where we're looking to get fairness across the board in the rule enforcement and interpretation, and if it does need clarification, again, I'm repeating myself, then we need to address that. So appreciate those comments from Ms. Salvo to try to get to the bottom of what we're trying to clear up.
Definitely. Okay. So, I mean, like I said, I have a few of them here, and I totally understand a rehiring and a reinstatement is two different things.
Okay.
And like in the case with Randy Brooks, like I was saying, he was under the rule of reinstatement, and I looked the rule up, and they were in compliance with that. Like I have Miss Larissa here, she in her transfer, she went from custodian to buildings. And then I have another one with Larissa where she was part of the layoff.
Right. I think what we ought to do is not mention the names as much.
Okay, all right, cool, okay.
And,
This is the ones I had, but I
Yeah, I
understand.
wanted to say that earlier, just, just.
So, on that subject, you understand what we're trying to clarify and
Yeah.
understand. To add to this, we had a discussion in the budget review the other day about advertisements. There seems to be maybe some need for improvement in the rules about advertising positions, because we tend to have a discrepancy between the administration and civil service as to how positions are being advertised.
And time frame.
And time, exactly. And I mean, if the council funds positions, like we funded certain positions, but they're never requested by the administration for civil service to move forward on, then there should be a rule in place for everybody to be notified, instead of people guessing about what's happening with those positions.
Okay.
For instance, if we funded some positions 3 months ago and no action has been taken, then a rule should be in place to notify the council that no action has been taken on filling these positions that you funded. So we go 6 months with funding sitting in a position that's not going to be filled for whatever reason. So I mean, there's got to be some kind of follow-through so that we don't get lost in the shuffle, and then at the end of the year in the budget review, we wound up seeing that 15 positions that were funded were never filled. And then the finger pointing continues to go on about the council won't give me the resources to do this.
Right.
And we're saying, well, we'll give you the resources, but you're not filling them. And then, there's a discrepancy about who does what, which needs to be clarified and handled a little quicker.
Right, and according to the rules, which I understand, if they're not compliant to the rules, then I can totally understand where y'all going with this. But apparently, if the elected officials, like say for instance the internal audit position, if you all make a request apparently to fill that position, then they're supposed to have a certain amount of candidates available, and then they're supposed to have maybe a possible, just in case, because it's in the rule book, that if they're supposed to have 3 qualified candidates, and they're supposed to do it in a timely manner where once y'all make it known to them that y'all are looking for someone or you want to hire someone for a position, I'm just using y'all as an example, but any directing officials, that they should have those candidates ready, and they should be ready to go for interviews, so that should be the process.
Right, and when it says in a timely manner, that's fine, but when we received the qualifications, the 2 qualified candidates that we did receive for the internal auditor while we were on Tucket, they said we had 10 days. Now, they had months and months to work on it. And we had 10 days, we didn't have a meeting scheduled until today, and we couldn't contact the candidates to set up a schedule until we decided, how to handle this in the meeting. And so they did say that we could ask for an extension, which we did. We asked for
That was told to me.
and so we're looking at some fairness in the process, because if they can take all the time in the world to do what they got to do, they got to give us a little more than a couple of days to line up the people to come in and talk to them.
And also, along the lines of the reinstatement process, I would be interested to know how does the salary works out in that, because for instance, and the young lady that they just hired to, I think it was Prone or someone, she came from the total district, part of the layoff, she was Prone. Did she automatically assume the minimum pay in that department, or it could possibly have been a higher rate than what she actually was receiving in the layoff? It has to be some equity in all of this. It just can't be picking and choosing and just doing as you please. We need to know if first of all, having major issues with the reinstatement, the term of reinstatement and rehiring, but also I'd like you to look into the salary, how does that work, so the pay.
And I feel what you're saying, if you're going to be reinstated, you shouldn't be reinstated with the person shouldn't have the power to be able to up or lower your rate. So if you're going to be reinstated at $10,000, you should be, if you got that $10,000, you should be reinstated at $10,000.
Because I've been instances that folks have come on,
Yes.
and it didn't begin at the minimum. It started it's all depends on what, as I say, that whatever civil service design, it may not start at the minimum.
Right, and I get it, it's like as if like, say if the job was worth $10,000 of service at one point, and they decided it's worth $12,000 of service, if you left at $10,000 and you come in at $12,000. But so this is why I'm gathering, this is why I'm seeing the flip side of this, and I guess this must evens it out. In a period that a person comes back into reinstatement, you can either put them back into reinstatement where they were, or they can accept a probationary period. So I guess if you come back at a higher rate, I guess if someone decides to up the class on the salary of the position, you can come in and just say, well, hey, look, you can come in at this price, at this salary, but you're gonna have a 6-month probationary period.
Just raise another question.
Right.
Will they come back at a probationary?
Yeah.
Who has the discretion to decide if you're back on probation or not?
Yeah.
That's actually in the rule book.
I know, but does it say if you're reinstated, you're back on probationary?
Yeah, I guess it's by the directors. I guess let's use us as an example. Let's just say I left for some unknown reason and I needed to get myself together and I was reinstated. Apparently, if I've been gone for, I guess, a certain period of time or however you all will see fit to have.
Is that written in the book about how much time and all of that?
No, that's not.
Well, see, that's the point I guess we need to clarify.
Right now.
We need to clarify the rules on reinstatement versus rehire with time frames and probationary periods and all of those things that are going to be addressed so that there's no
Understandable.
discussion about, well, the rule says this, but it doesn't say this. So that's where I think we're headed. We're trying to get some clarification.
Also, I'd like to check on, they say 14 days to advertise, and they can pull it after 14 days, whether no one's hired or not. And once they pull it, then no one knows they're still being advertised. That's, to me, that's a serious problem. If you can check into that.
I will do. But I know they're supposed to advertise that position and have qualified candidates for the directing officials to have them set up for the officials to be able to interview. But time frame, that seems to be the biggest thing.
Well,
I could definitely look into that.
What they say sometimes is that, it takes time to vet the candidates, to do background checks and all of that, which is understandable.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there should be some type of process to let us know, what's going on.
I mean, if the candidates are putting in their applications 3 months, in advance, like I think the close date was June 12th. I mean, somewhere within there, you should have been able to find 3 qualified candidates.
We don't know how many candidates applied.
Okay.
So we are sitting here and we only get the information on the candidates that the Civil Service Department vets and hands us. So we don't know if we're getting 1 candidate, 10 candidates, or whatever. It's whatever the Civil Service, the director and the staff over there decide to send to us.
Right. I'm with you.
So, anyway, so you got some work there to do on that Civil Service audit. Moving along on the 2017 audit plan, what's next on the audit plan, do you know?
PW Capital Projects and the Grant Administration, I decided to hold up on that. The next one would be, as I'm working on this one, the next one I was going to put in the rotation was accounts payable. I'm going to put in the rotation. I talked to Tommy, he told me capital projects, Grant Administration, that's something that he'll sit down with me and talk to me about. But, just figure out, because he says there's so many different parts to capital projects that, you got to get specific into what you want to get done with it. So, accounts payable and civil service, I could get more in depth with that and start on accounts payable.
Do you have any other discussion items on civil service audit?
I just would like, rather than jumping around, and go to the place that you can operate, but I think we should just, if it's doing it one at a time, we need to get it down pat. The civil service, there's some serious issues over there. And, I don't want you just to go and just you know, kind of just gloss over it.
Yeah.
You know, you need to get some changes
Yes, ma'am.
and implemented in that department.
Okay.
As far as I see.
Okay.
Now, I could be completely wrong. You know, once you check into it and see, well, Ms. Audrey, this is what the rule book said, and as far as, you know, but from where I'm sitting, it
Yeah.
looks like it's.
This needs some time, I'm with you.
Yeah, so obviously that's the priority till you complete that audit. Any other discussion on the civil service audit? None? Okay, let's move to item 3.
Discussion regarding the scheduling of interviews for the internal auditor applicants.
Okay, as you know, we were forwarded information from civil service on 2 applicants, and I would ask that we set some time next week maybe to meet with the 2 candidates. We only had 2, and if that's appropriate, then I would ask that we allow Kim to contact the candidates and try to set up times for us to be able to meet with them. And if we decide to meet individually or as an audit committee, we'll have to call a special meeting. If we decide to meet individually, then we'll have to have a special audit committee meeting to make the appointment and discuss the results of each one of our meetings. So having said that, if that's appropriate for y'all, we can ask Kim to reach out to the 2 candidates and let's try to organize something. So if y'all don't have any
That's
problem,
good with me.
I'll move in that direction.
Next week, yeah.
Right. So I'll move in that direction to try to coordinate something, and then Kim will take care of that. And hopefully we can have somebody on, in the next couple, 3 weeks to be able to get you some help and move forward with fulfilling our functions as the audit committee.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments or discussion on item 3? And none. Item number 4.
Approval of the minutes from the July 13, 2017 meeting.
I'll make a motion.
My second.
Regina Walters, second.
Councilmember Juno?
Yes.
Councilmember Russo?
Yes.
Councilmember Trufant Salva?
Yes.
Okay, that completes our agenda for today. I don't know if there's any other business that someone would like to bring up on the suspension of the rules or anything. If not, I guess the appropriate thing is to move for an adjournment.
I so moved.
I'll second.
Secretary?
Councilmember Juno?
Yes.
Councilmember Russo?
Yes.
Councilmember Trufant Salva?
Yes.
Okay, and the meeting was adjourned at 9:55.